Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, I'm sure I'm surprising a lot of you, but the topic is, should the Dallas Cowboys be encouraged or discouraged by the loss to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. This season, we're deciding, or at least I'm deciding a little bit to get into the NFL and to get into football. Now, I've watched football for years, but I really never paid attention to it in terms of, you know, covering it, or I never watched it as much as I did the NBA. Like, I really enjoy watching basketball. Football, not as much, but I did enjoy watching it when I was a little bit younger. And this season, I made an effort to follow the Hard Knocks on HBO Max. So I decided to follow Hard Knocks this season, and I watched every single episode. But this time around, I was watching as a student. I wasn't just watching as a casual fan or whatever it is for entertainment. I was watching to understand exactly what it takes to run a football team, right? So I watched it, and I got some pretty interesting insights during those 5 episodes of Hard Knocks. I really started to learn about the positions, the roles that different players play, the different coaches for different teams within the team, you know, the offensive line, defensive line, you know, the receivers, the running backs, the quarterback, like all of these different things I was watching, right? And it really gave me a lot of insight, and it really showed me that football is a very, very complex game. Very, very complex game. There's so many different systems that need to work properly at the same time in order to make a team run successfully. I mean, I was just watching some of those preseason games, and I was looking at all of the different coaches that were interacting all at once, and then you have the head coach. I was like, this is a very, very nuanced game, and it's very, very complicated. So going into the NFL season, I was actually a little bit eager to see the matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why? Because this is what the whole Hard Knocks was leading up to. Because this was going to be the Dallas Cowboys' first opponent, right? So I was watching a lot of I was watching the Hard Knocks. I was learning about the players like Amari Cooper, Micah, and all of these, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott. I was watching all these different things. So I was like, okay, good. I get to see these guys, right? I get to see how all of this boot camp and the training camp translates into an actual game. And also I was trying to see, would I be able to understand this thing at a deeper level than before? So when the game tipped off, I thought going into that game, there were a few storylines that were worth paying attention to. And these are some of the storylines that I came up with, and I think it's some of the storylines that most people came up with. The first thing was, how was Tom Brady going to perform at the age of 44? Let me just say this first quickly. This dude is 44 years old out there playing as if he's 25. And it was funny during the game, in certain segments of the game when he was throwing and they were analyzing his throwing speed, I think it was 0.3 seconds. They were asking a question to commentators. They were like, is it possible that this guy is actually getting better as he's aging? Which is something that, you know, there's a certain point where you improve to a certain point and you hit your prime, you stay within your prime, and you start to decline. But like in this case, he's still going up, and they were like, is it even possible that this guy's getting better? And I think a lot of the analysts were just like kind of befuddled. And I was posting on Twitter, I was like, man, this dude is unbelievable. So I think that was one of the storylines. The second one was, how would Dak Prescott perform after not playing, you know, NFL football in 11 months? We all know the freak injury that he had. At least I really got some major insight into it watching Hard Knocks. So they were like, how's this guy going to perform, when the season kicks off, given the fact that he missed the entire preseason? Meaning, he was there, obviously, but he didn't participate in any of the preseason games. A lot of people were wondering, is that a gamble? Should he get some reps? All of these different things. So I think that was one of the storylines going into the game. The other one was how effective how will the Cowboys be able to throw against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive line, right? Because apparently this team really knows how to guard against the rush, so you're going to have to be able to beat them with the pass. So I think that was one of the parts that people were trying to understand. And also they were looking to understand how much did the Dallas Cowboys defense improve. According to some of the things that I heard, they had one of their worst defensive teams, if not the worst defensive Dallas Cowboy team last season from the defensive side of the floor of the pitch, in this case of the field. So I think that was another thing that a lot of people were a bit eager or interested in trying to understand how this team would look going into the game. So once the game started, I gotta say, I was very impressed with how Dak Prescott looked, especially given the fact that this guy hasn't played NFL football in 11 months. He looked sharp. He didn't really look rusty to me at all. He didn't look rushed, at least in the first half. He looked like he was under control. He was within the pocket. He was making good reads. I thought that was pretty impressive. I thought Tom Brady, on the other hand, was cool. It was cool, calm, and collected under pressure, man. This guy is surgical. He's surgical, and he rarely makes mistakes when you give him time. And I think one of the things they spoke about was they wanted to get him on the move. Because if they get him on the move, he's more likely to make mistakes, according to some of the things I was able to learn. But if you allow him to remain stationary and read the field and make plays, he would tear you apart, and that's what he was doing many times with Antonio Brown in different segments in the game. And I thought he was I thought he was a magician. And I tweeted, like, during the first hour, I was like, now I see why a lot of people call this guy the GOAT, because he's deadly. He was hitting his receivers in their pockets, and they were just, it was incredible to watch. Now, obviously, this is nothing new to NFL fans that have been watching Tom Brady closely, football fans, but to me, somebody that's really trying to get into it, I thought it was pretty impressive. Going into the first half, the game was close. And the interesting thing about that was, prior to the game, I was watching Undisputed and others. A lot of people, we even put a poll on the channel, and I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a blowout. I was listening to Shannon Sharp, the former Hall of Famer, and he was saying that, it's not going to be close and all of these different things. So I was surprised, given the fact that so many people thought that this game wasn't going to be close, the fact that it was close going into the half. And to be quite honest with you, the Dallas Cowboys had some opportunities there to really make, tie the game or at least take the lead, right? They had some good shots, but their kicker, his name is Greg Zuerlein. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly. He cost the Cowboys some points because he missed some field goal kicks, and he missed a point blank one, which astonished a lot of us. So going into the second half, I thought that it was a back and forth game. I think Brady and Prescott played each other to a standstill. If I look at some of their stats here that I'm getting from NFL.com, I think Dak Prescott was 42 of 58. So I think he attempted 58 throws and connected on 48. He had 403 yards and 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. And Tom Brady was 32 of 50. And he threw for 379 yards and 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So I think they kind of canceled each other out. I think once both teams started to apply pressure in the second half, obviously the quarterback started making mistakes. Obviously, I was watching them, on TV or whatever it was, and I was noticing, this is something I never noticed before because I never really follow football. I was noticing that these dudes were sweating. I was looking at some of those replays, and they hit Dak Prescott, and you saw the sweat fall off his face. So I'm like, wow, this is, because you look at it, you don't think they're sweating, but it looks like these quarterbacks are out there working, and they have to make a lot of decisions, and they're under a lot of duress. It looks like it's a very, very difficult job to do, and that's why I think a lot of people say that the quarterback is the single most difficult position to play in all of sports, in team sports at least, and I could really understand that. It looks like the Dallas Cowboys, some of their key players really came to play. Now, obviously, if I'm looking at some of the stats here, their rushing core didn't get a lot of yards because I think the Buccaneers defend really well against the rush. So Ezekiel Elliott had 11 carries for 33 yards. Tony Pollard had 3 carries for 14 yards. And Dak Prescott also ran, but obviously he's a quarterback. But where they really shined, in my opinion, was the receivers. Amari Cooper, he had 13 receptions, and he ran the ball, or which amounted to 139 yards. CeeDee Lamb also had 104 yards with 7 receptions. So he did pretty well. And if I look on the Buccaneers side, Antonio Brown had 5 receptions or 5 catches for 121 yards, which is really good for him. Chris Godwin, who I never knew about until yesterday, he played really well. He had 9 catches for 105 yards. And Rob Gronkowski, this dude, now watching the game, I see why they say he's such a difficult cover. When he catches the ball, you need at least 3 people to bring this guy to his knees, man. He looks like a very, very strong man that has a very strong base. And he must have some very strong legs, because you have these grown men trying to pull you down and somehow you're still able to move your feet. I thought that was pretty impressive. So to get to the ultimate point of this video, the question is, was this a moral victory for the Cowboys? When I opened my Instagram, when I woke up, I saw Skip Bayless celebrating. Cowboys, how about them Cowboys? But they lost, right? So I think it depends who you're asking. I think if you're asking a Dallas Cowboy fan, I think they're going to say it was a moral victory, right? Given the fact that I think everyone said it was going to be a blowout from what I heard. But given the fact that they only lost the game by 2 points, and that came with a late drive by Tom Brady, who is on just another one of his classic drives, drove the ball all the way down the field and led them to a field goal and won the game, which is something I've seen him do numerous times, right? And that's why a lot of people are afraid of giving Tom Brady the ball with like a minute left on the clock, because he can hurt you, because he's methodical, he's calm under pressure, and he's very precise. So once again, he beat them with a late game drive, and that's why they won that game. Had he not done that, the Dallas Cowboys would have won the game. So from a moral victory standpoint, I think the Cowboys can look at themselves and say, hey, listen, we were able to hang with the Super Bowl with the NFL Super Bowl champions, right? That means something. Now, a loss is a loss. Nevertheless, moral victories don't count on the record board. They lost, right? And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now 1-0, and some people have speculated that they may be able to run the board. At least that's what I heard Skip Bayless say. So for me, was it a moral victory for the Cowboys? Yes, but they lost, right? So you can't take that to the bank. But I guess we'll have to see if something that they will build on moving forward. And obviously, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers handled their business, and they did what I think everybody expected them to do, which is win the game. Now, some people may say, well, you should have beat them, you should have beat them by more points. A W is a W, and I think they will take it any way that they can. So for me, that's what I was able to get from the game. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about the game? What do you think about the analysis that we did, that we just did in this video? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Whatever critiques you have, please leave them in the comment section. I'll definitely like to know what you guys think. And also, if you want us to cover some teams, any particular teams, we'll continue to try to see what we can do this NFL season. Anyway, once again, leave your thoughts and your comments in the comment section below. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day, and catch you guys on the next episode.